everybody, and welcome. My name is Jamie Wallen, and today we are doing a tutorial on feather fronds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that feather frond into a hook feather that you can utilize later for blocks, or you can use it for edge to edge by surrounding it with echoes and swirls. We're going to go right over to our spine that we've already laid in here on the machine, and now we're going to start with our traditional long arm feather fronds. Now when I do a traditional long arm feather frond, I start with a curved teardrop that swings around, and then I'm going to go ahead right on the spine and do one upside down. Now up top, I'm going to wrap that next feather frond right around the previous one. If you choose to, you can throw in a vein. Now on the bottom, I'm going to repeat the same process. That way we can do the top of the spine as well as the bottom of the spine all the way down. Now typically I don't do that. I've been doing them for 15 years, top first, and then I come back and do the bottom first. So a couple of tips when you're doing your feather fronds. When I do my feather fronds on the long arm machine, I wrap it around the previous, curve it around, and then I put a vein in to check my feather placement. When I do those veins, what I look at from the top to the bottom is I want to see something that looks similar to a painted seagull. It's got that nice curvature, or a curved V shape. Come up. So these are our basic traditional long arm feathers. Now, what I want to do is to take this feather and start adding some stuff. So I'm going to come around, and on the way down I'm going to zig in, curve, zig out, scoop under, come back, and then I'm going to do the bottom. Come down and up, and just in that top third I do that zig in, zig out, and scoop under. Backtrack in, come around, curve, down, curve, and scoop. I always try to remember to do my scoop. Now on the bottom here, I'm actually behind on the spine, and I never worry about how many feather fronds are on the back compared to the front. Now what I also want to show you is right here, we're starting to get a valley down underneath the feather. And so in this valley section, I'm going to go ahead and lay in some short feathers to work my way out. Curve around, backtrack in, curve around, backtrack in, curve around, backtrack in, curve around. I've now caught up. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to do what I call humpback feathers. So we're going to come away and swing back into a nice swirl, backtrack the top, and then do a second frond. So every time we come out to do a frond, we're actually doing two at a time. Come down, swirl back, backtrack the top, and do a new frond. Come away, swirl back, backtrack the top, and new frond. The reason I like to add the swirl is because if my backtracking isn't perfect, that swirl is going to take the attention away from that. So now what I would like to do is do what I call a boomerang feather, where I come away and throw it out and then echo the outside back. So it's just like a boomerang. Throw it away, curve back, and you got to remember to round that at the top, and then it comes back to you. Throw it away, curve back, and then it comes back to you on the outside. Go back down to the bottom, and I'm going to catch up, throw it away, it comes back to you. Now what I want to do is throw it away, pause, divot into the frond, and cross over, which is going to give me these lovely ribbons. Throw it away, touch, divot in, cross over. So now I have these wonderful ribbons. Curve away. Now this is where you start to play and come up with your own feathers. What if I were to put like a unicorn horn right on the top, echo back into that cleavage point, and then come back? Throw it away, curve back, go up into a unicorn horn, echo back, and then come around. Throw it away. Now let's add a swirl. Swirl out, add a spike if you choose, echo down, come back. Now these can look wonderful on those wonderful Harley quilts. Swirl away, because it will look like flames. Spike back. You can add a few more flames if you'd like. and then come around. So again, with feathers, you simply sit and practice and get comfortable with the basics, and then you can start to play and come up with your own myriad of designs. Now what we're going to do is head over to a clean part of the fabric, and I'm going to show you how to do a hook feather using a few of the basic feather fronds we just did. So now I'm going to start this feather with a medium-sized hook. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to spiral around, and I want to make sure to spiral into the heart of that hook. Then I'm going to echo out all the way around, and again, I'm not so concerned about am I echoing evenly. Typically, what the body and mind will do is work together and be as consistent as it can be, and that's typically good enough. Now I come back and I'm going to start to feather up the outside of the hook. Swirl back, backtrack the top, new frond. Swing away and back, backtrack the top, new frond. And notice when I go into these points and pull out, I have no long stitches to contend with. This Innova is amazing when you come out of a point. You can't hardly ever get a long stitch. In fact, it's impossible to get a long stitch when you come out. Now, I'm going to start combining a few different feather fronds as I work my way around the top of that hook shape. Come around, divot, cross over. Swing away, divot, cross over. Now, since we just did those other feather fronds, I'm going to throw in a few traditional long arm feathers. Feather frond, vane. I'm going to wrap it around the previous frond, vane. Now I'm going to do one, and I'm going to do a double bump and curve around. It's a little bit more masculine of a feather frond, double bump, curve around. It's just like a regular traditional feather frond, except you hit a pothole, ba-bump, as you come around the top of that feather frond. Come around, and now I'm going to go right back to my swirl back, bump, new frond, feather frond, feather frond. This is a great way to practice different feathers, and don't be so concerned about using different type of feathers. Everything looks good on the quilt, and frankly, I like to engage the viewer, and for me, sometimes that means adding new feathers. Now, as I go into this spiral and close up the inside of that spiral, I'm going to stretch those feathers to fill in. Curve around, come around, come around, swing around. I could do the hump back, 2 at a time, double time, back, bump, come around. Swing back, bump, come around, swing back, bump, come around. And what you get is this beautiful feather on a hook that almost starts to give you the illusion of a conch shell. Back, bump, come around, bump, come around. Now I'm going to backtrack all the way back. We're almost done with this. Down to the bottom, and I'm going to put a few little fronds right at the bottom to close it out. Now, if I wanted to use this as an edge to edge, I would echo around and swirl around, and then I would continue with another hook. So there is our hook feather. Well, there we have it, some wonderful feathers to practice on a wonderful Innova. This has been fantastic. And if you would like more information on the Innova, go to one of the quilt shows to the Innova booth and find out why Innova is built to quilt.